What's up guys? So The Falcon and the Winter Soldier ended a couple weeks ago, the second Disney Plus series to come out after WandaVision, and much anticipated on my end since I saw all the great action that we would be getting, and I was especially hyped from all the leaked set pics of Madripoor, huge mutant destination in the comics. And yeah, I know the series ended and we didn't get any mutants, but I'm totally fine with that as long as it's there. We got to see the Princess Bar, which, you know, Patch, Wolverine, you know, I'm all about that. You guys know that I'm all about seeing MCU X-Men. I need mutants, I need Wolverine, I need all the X-Men in their comic accurate 90s looks. I need to see that. But despite all of that, and despite all the more superficial aspects the show had going for it, I was genuinely curious, as I'm sure lots of other people were, to find out just how an Avenger spends their time day to day. Especially ones like Sam and Bucky, who we've seen for years but never really got to see them in this light up until now. Like, Bucky was a Winter Soldier, a prolific assassin, and some would even call a terrorist, and what now? He's just some guy who has an apartment somewhere. Like, it's just so strange to even think about. They're both super grounded characters who got snapped away, got blipped back, and had to fight a war for the universe immediately. And just how does that change someone, and how does that change the way people see them? Which in this series we get a couple of those answers. Each episode being 40 to 50 minutes long really gave us time to understand these characters on a deeper level than we previously would have when they were side characters in these huge movies dealing with these bigger stories. Seeing them in this way really helps you form a deeper connection to these characters, especially since, although I thought Sam and Bucky were cool, right? Like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, those were cool characters, but never did I think I would root for these characters as much as I did after watching this show and during the show, of course, and that I would actually want to see a full movie with Sam Wilson, Captain America. The show also manages to tackle pertinent issues in society, especially in America right now. It manages to give us very good, very deep emotional moments, as well as challenge us philosophically and socially in some ways, and gives a very compelling reason to never stay down and to never stop fighting. So we're gonna get into the story of the series, all the side and main characters, the things I liked, the things I disliked, and at the very end, of course, I'll give my personal 1 through 10 rating of the series and whatever final thoughts I have on the series. So that's the plan, guys. We're gonna get a Captain America 4. Like, Thor broke the rule of like 3 with Thor 4, but I mean, come on, like, we're getting a Captain America 4. Like, that's pretty fucking crazy. I'm here for it all day. So let's get started. So we pick back up with Sam Wilson as he helps the military on special missions, as well as he's gathering intel on this new radical terrorist organization, the Flag Smashers. Basically a coalition of people who were displaced by the blip, and when the snap happened during those 5 years, they actually liked it better that way and are creating this movement to bring about something like that, a world without borders. Basically, they fuck with that and not with how things were before. Basically what they're trying to do, and trying to create this movement so that if they should die, this movement lives on beyond them. And Sam's been getting most of his intel on this group through his new associate Joaquin Torres, or soon to be new Falcon, which we'll get to at the end of the video how exactly I feel about that. I'm excited for this guy. I like the actor Danny Ramirez. All this while Sam is trying to help his sister keep the family business literally afloat. And to top it all off, Sam has to publicly deny the mantle of Captain America, what Steve chose him for, because he in his heart felt that it wasn't truly his. Simultaneously, Bucky is seeing a therapist now in accordance with his pardon, and we see him deal with the sins of his past as he's beginning to have nightmares of the people that he killed under the control of Hydra as the Winter Soldier. We get to see how the guilt weighs on Bucky from day to day and really get a sense of where this guy is at mentally. But his whole thing throughout the series is trying to make amends to the people that he's wronged, or the wrongs that he's done to people as the Winter Soldier. And throughout this series, he's trying to build up the courage to grant closure to a Mr. Nakajima, an old man whose son, during his time as the Winter Soldier, Bucky had killed on a hit job. Something Mr. Nakajima still is unclear of the details of how his son died to this day, and he's still mourning his son. He just seeks closure and he seeks answers. So that's basically what Bucky is dealing with throughout the whole series. And by the end of the first episode, the American government enlists a brand new Captain America. Someone who's supposed to be a symbol for the country, a guiding light in these crazy times, especially in a post-blip world, and someone who is definitely not Sam Wilson, Steve's first choice. This new Captain America's name is John Walker, a decorated serviceman who in the very beginning seemed like a capable fit, at the very least, for Captain Captain America. Still not Steve's first choice, right? But he seemed like he'd be alright. Obviously, this doesn't sit right with Sam or Bucky. Like, the man who told Sam that he made the right decision giving up the shield within the same episode enlisted a new Captain America. Obviously, Sam is gonna feel some type of way about that, and Bucky, obviously, Steve was his best friend. Steve meant the world to him, and the legacy of that shield meant so much to Bucky that he couldn't sit idly by while somebody that Steve did not pick was holding it. And then add the Flag Smashers and their leader, Karli Morgenthau, not just being regular thugs, but being super soldiers. So now they gotta find out how they got super soldier serum, where they got it from, and how to stop them. Along the way, Sam and Bucky link up with a couple of familiar faces. We get to see Zemo back, Sharon Carter, and Io with the rest of the Dora Milaje. They end up breaking Zemo out of prison, or rather, he breaks himself out. They just kind of let him do it. He basically helps them navigate the criminal island nation of Madripoor to get intel on who is supplying this super soldier serum, which they find out is this person going by the name the Power Broker. And while on Madripoor, they get into a little bit of trouble, and this is when Sharon Carter actually comes into the fray, and she's been on the run since Civil War for helping Team Cap out. So she has some pretty good connections. She's staying in a good place. She's kind of running her own fucking life now. But basically, she helps them find Dr. Nagel, which is the guy who recreated the super soldier serum. And he did this by using samples of Isaiah Bradley's blood, which still had trace amounts of the super soldier serum, and that's how he was able to recreate it. Except he made this serum like, I think 2 times stronger, and it was made to be subtle. So no automatic gains with this serum. You don't need a machine or anything. It just makes you stronger. But ultimately, Zemo kills this doctor and explodes the whole lab. They have to follow Karli Morgenthau to her next location, which is this like wake for Mama Doña, this lady that took in refugees and people, I guess, that were displaced by the blip. She was kind to them. She was kind to Karli, and now that she's died, Karli and all the other people that were affected by her, this pillar of the community, were coming to, I guess, mourn her. But they don't know exactly where to go. But since that is Munich, Germany, and Zemo knows pretty much everything, they take him along. He's of use to them. In this episode, at the beginning, or I believe at the end of the last episode, Karli explodes a GRC building, the Global Repatriation Council. Basically, the people that are trying to help the people that have come back during the blip. And Karli Morgenthau, the leader of the Flag Smashers, her whole thing is that they don't care about any of the people that were still left here. They only care about the people that came back. So she feels wrong. And so this is kind of where she's coming from. She just is not going about it in any of the right ways. But basically, they come to Germany and they're followed by the Dora Milaje, and they're here for Zemo, and they are coming to take his ass back to prison, basically. Since Bucky and Sam need them, they're chill. They basically give them 8 hours to go and make whatever use of them that they need. Zemo gets some answers. He gets a tour guide to where Mama Doña's wake is gonna be, and that's when Sam is going to go and try and talk Karli down and talk to her and see what's up, because he sees that, okay, I get what she's trying to do. She's not entirely evil. She's not just doing shit just for no reason. He gets with her cause, but not the way she's doing it. And this is the point in time with John Walker and his partner Lamar Hoskins, or Battlestar, go and they butt into the things. Basically, most of it is Walker. Lamar is more level-headed. He actually convinces Walker not to just go and rush Karli and give Sam the time that he needs to kind of just talk to her, because Sam was trauma counselor for veterans, so he understands this. This is in his wheelhouse, okay? And especially all of the shit that he's been through, the trauma that he's been through, this is right up his alley. So he listens to Lamar, and so Walker and Bucky, along with Zemo and Lamar, they're just chilling. Walker very impatiently, while Sam reasons with Karli, and he actually stumps her a little bit and lets her know the error of her ways. Like, she almost sees that because of what Sam's telling her, obviously. And I really love to see it. Like, I like that Sam, with all of his combat experience, even with everything that Karli has done, because, you know, her fight, it's understandable. Like, you can understand, like, you know, she's just trying to help people. She feels wrong, but she's also seeing that other people feel the same way and are, you know, suffering. You know, you can almost get behind her. I love that Sam, instead of using his fists, is using his head and realistically using his heart, trying to empathize with this person who feels wrong, who feels like the world is against her, which in some ways it is. But of course, Walker fucks it up and he rushes in, and that basically leads to this crazy chase that ultimately leads to Zemo shooting Karli and finding the vials of super soldier serum that she has, and basically stomping them all out until he's taken care of by Walker. And then Walker stumbles across one of the vials and, you know, he pockets it because he's like, oh shit, this is what I've been wanting, because the whole season he's kind of felt, I guess, inadequate. He has some kind of inadequacy issue. He feels insecure. Like, I guess he thought once he became Cap that people were just gonna respect him. I guess he didn't really understand to the full extent what his purpose as Cap was, and I kind of got that when he was being interviewed, because he was semi like an alright dude. But when he said, I think one of the biggest things about Cap was that he had guts, but he said something about guts, and I was like, Steve had heart. It was all heart for Steve, not guts, Steve. So that's where I could kind of see, okay, this guy doesn't exactly understand what Cap was about. And basically Walker is trying to apprehend Zemo and trying to get to the bottom of everything, and he confronts Sam and Bucky. That's when the Dora come to collect Zemo, and that ensues in Walker once again overstepping, and the Dora whoops his ass and whoops everybody's ass because Sam is gracious enough to lend a hand so they wouldn't kill him and Battlestar. And so while all this is happening, Zemo fucking dips, which, you know, is very Zemo-like. And during this altercation, Ayo actually detaches Bucky's arm, and that's kind of like fucked up for him because he's like, oh, I thought they trusted me, but they put this failsafe. So that kind of gets him thinking a little bit, and especially since Ayo was the woman that helped him get the like Hydra mind control out of his head, this was almost like a weird trust betrayal for him a little bit, because it's almost like they never really trusted him at all. But after this whole incident, you know, John Walker is just totally emasculated. He got his ass whooped. He's all, as some would say, without. He got worked, and they weren't even super soldiers, but they are the Dora, so, you know, you gotta know. And this is basically the catalyst for John Walker to take the serum. The thing about the serum, this new serum, I guess, it fucks with you. Like, it makes you feel like shit when you first take it. He jumps the gun again, and this leads to him publicly executing a flag smasher in front of the whole world. After their attempt to capture Carly went wrong, and she fucking kicked Lamar into a pillar and he died. Lamar was based as fuck. He was kind of almost the voice of reason for Walker a little bit. He kind of hyped him up a little bit sometimes. Other than that, like, he talked him down from just, you know, forcefully going and rushing Carly. So he was a little bit of the voice of reason, and he always had his homies back. He didn't have any super soldier serum, but he tackled a super soldier that was about to stab his partner, his best friend, his guy that he literally went to war with, and he did that, and he died for that. He was a real one. Like, he was willing to do that, like literally ride or die. And that, in my opinion, was the last straw. Like, even when the GRC building, I still thought that was fucked up. Like, that's when they became a terrorist organization, because they could have just kept the supplies and taken them. They had everybody tied up, dismantled. They were all good, but they chose to needlessly kill. The only thing that kind of got me past that, even just a little bit, was that they were hoarding all this shit. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, you need to get the supplies to the people. So when this happened, I was like, oh shit, oh fuck you. That was the last straw. You know, I get that you were kind of trying to do something good. You fucked up there definitely for killing that innocent father of two, but now fuck you. When Walker actually does execute that guy, I was just like, you know, fuck this guy, fuck the flag smashers. And that's another like instance of where a character is understandable but just not acceptable, because obviously you can't do that, especially as Captain America. You cannot be executing people in public or at all, really. He just saw his best friend die trying to save him, and nobody gave a fuck. They all ran away. These people that are supposed to care about people that are in need just ran away. And I think that's something that the show does really well, because when she was talking to Sam, you got a sense of her humanity. You know that she didn't want to be a supremacist or some kind of a villain. She saw herself as a hero. Like, quite literally, the guy who got executed, the guy who said that he was like a Captain America fan at one point, he was saying the heroes of this time don't have the luxury of keeping their hands clean because the world is so complicated. So that was, in my opinion, him co-signing, like, you know, whatever we have to do, if we end up killing innocent people, I don't care, I'm down for the cause. And so that's when I was just like, fuck all these people, fuck the flag smashers. I don't give a fuck that Walker murked your boy. You didn't give a fuck about Lamar, and he was an actual real one. He wouldn't have killed you. And so at that point, there's no more Robin Hood shit going on, okay? That's when they became legit terrorists. And the image of Walker holding the shield all bloody like that was so damn visceral. It's truly what Sam said in the beginning about symbols and how they're nothing without the men and women that give them meaning. That shield was a symbol, and that symbol was beautiful. That symbol fought the Nazis. That symbol fought alien gods, mad robots, and forces that would seek to destroy the universe. And now it had been tainted because the government had given it to a person who clearly didn't know the first thing about being Captain America. And you understand the anger, you can feel it, and the turmoil that he's in, especially for the rest of the series. And you understand why he did what he did, but obviously what he did was not acceptable. You can't have Captain America killing people like that, especially. Like the real one Lamar said, that suit comes with expectations. And this was such a sharp parallel to the scene in Black Panther when he's about to kill Claw and he doesn't because he knows that the whole world is watching, and especially it's just not the way to go about doing things. So I really like that, like the contrast. Like I think that's what separates a hero from somebody who's not really a hero, maybe an anti-hero. Again, I don't know if the serum had anything to do with that, because John Walker obviously had problems from the beginning because he was just not acting right, always constantly overstepping, saying the wrong thing, making the wrong moves. But like it said in the show by the real one, Lamar Hoskins, power just makes you more of who you are. And John Walker was very insecure, and that's what led to his downfalls. And so after this episode, which was episode 5, he runs off, and that's when a whole altercation between him, Sam, and Bucky takes place. And Sam's trying to calm him down. He's trying to say, hey, look, with all your service and everything, you won't be in too much trouble. Just give me the shield. Everything is good. But I guess that serum is fucking cooking his brain cells, and he decides to throw hands with these guys, and it's a pretty good little fight. Walker becomes just this nasty individual, this disgusting person in this fight, and they actually end up breaking his arm. You could just almost feel it like break, like it was so nasty. And of course he gets stripped of the title of Cap from the GRC, and they also strip him of any benefits he would have received as a veteran. Although he did deserve that, it kind of reminded me of how the government kind of just throws away people, especially like veterans, like people who served this country, and they just kind of like, oh, we don't need you anymore, oh, you fucked up, bye bye, like pretty fucked up. And right after that scene, we get the big reveal that Malcolm Spellman, the creator of the show, was teasing. Now guys, after WandaVision, I am never getting my hopes up ever again for a special character or some special big reveal for a Disney Plus show. For Disney Plus shows, I'm red pilled as fuck, okay? I'm never getting hyped ever again after WandaVision. But I think since I didn't get my hopes up for this series and for this reveal, it made it that much better, and I was actually really pleased with what we got. Even though it wasn't a huge character, I'm not even gonna try to say the whole full name, so I'm just gonna call her what she's called in the comics, basically Madam Hydra, and is now being played by the great and lovely Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I absolutely love seeing Elaine back on screen again, but for real, like it was actually really surprising to see her. Like I never thought I'd see Dreyfus in a Marvel like property. Like that was just weird to me, and it was just so random too, but it was nice, and it's always a pleasure to see her on screen. And not only is she there to help John Walker bounce back, but she also explains that the shield is kind of a gray area. Like it doesn't even technically belong to the government, which I always felt like Howard Stark created it. I guess maybe he was commissioned by the government to make it for Captain America, but Howard Stark made it for Captain America. And the thing about that shield too is like it's been remade I don't know how many fucking times. It was smashed to pieces by Thanos. I would think if it broke and somebody remade it, it would belong to the maker. And at this point in the series, Sam revisits Isaiah Bradley, which she actually did in the beginning of the series. Bucky actually lets him know of Isaiah Bradley's existence. They both visit him, and we learned that he was Captain America after Captain America. He does not like anything that's going down. And when Sam revisits him, we find out that when he was imprisoned, all of his letters for his wife were kept from him, and she actually, I believe, died while he was in prison. He was experimented on. That's how they got the super soldier serum. That's how Nagel was able to remake it, and that they actually erased his history so it wouldn't make the government look bad, because a POW camp they were going to bomb because it was filled full of the other soldiers that were experimented on, just like Bradley, and the government obviously didn't want to get that out, but he actually ended up saving all of them. And not to mention, he had to keep all this to himself for fear that the government, if he came out with all this stuff, would come and kill him. And so you can really understand where Isaiah Bradley's contempt for the government, for the country, for Captain America comes from. He sees this guy who set the precedent, you know, got the wheels turning for the government to do the horrible and nasty things that they did to him, and to treat him the way that they did, because they saw, oh, if it's possible, we're gonna have to keep on trying. It doesn't matter. These people are expendable. We'll just do whatever to them. So you can understand why he feels the way he does. Even though Steve, he didn't put him in jail. He didn't do anything to him. And Steve was a hero. Steve saved the fucking universe. You can understand why he would be feeling this way. And Sam has to take all this information into account as he plans what he's going to do next, which is after Bucky and Sam and basically the whole community fix up their family boat, Bucky presents Sam with this suitcase, and he receives from Bucky and the Wakandans one of the dopest suits, one of the flyest, most flame suits in all the MCU. Like probably in all of comics, all of, you know, suits in general, this is top 5 of all great translations from comics to movies. This is legit. I don't know how like on top of the list it is, but it's definitely near Deadpool on like like translations. Like it's so damn fucking flames. Like the Sam Wilson cap suit from the comics was always dope, but the translation itself, because sometimes the translation from the comic suit to live action suit, sometimes it just looks like shit. Like it looks really bad. But in this case, they did it amazingly. It's so damn tight. And other than the pure flames entrance that Sam gets in the next episode, the 6th and final episode, we could all tell from that like really wide outside shot that when Sam's flying into the city, okay, he's wearing the suit. We know he's wearing the suit. We know what he has on. We know what's gonna happen. He's about to be revealed in the suit all badass. And he does. He throws the shield into the building, catches it back. He stands straight up and he knows he's looking fly as fuck. Like he's like, damn, my drip is on point, dog. That's just the flyest suit ever. Like in all sense of the word. And basically the last episode is Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers trying to kill the leaders of the Global Repatriation Council in hopes that, this will stop all the bullshit they're doing to interfere with them and it'll cause some kind of change. But it's very half-baked, especially on Carly's part. So Sam and Bucky have to stop them and they get some help from Sharon Carter and, believe it or not, a more level-headed John Walker who is adamant about avenging the death of Lamar Hoskins, his best friend. And during this episode we get so many badass aerial maneuvers. Action is on point. So many great shots and screen caps that are in this episode, like especially when Sam is on the bridge and he's protecting that pilot from the downed helicopter and he covers the pilot in the wings and the shield. Like there's nothing more badass than that. And that's the thing too, is that his wings are more than likely, and the suit has to be some type of vibranium weave. That's the most badass shit ever. Like it's just so good and he just looks so badass in it. Like you can't get enough of how fucking dope that suit looks. The whole episode is filled with heroic moments, from Bucky saving the GRC people from burning alive in those trucks, and even Walker puts aside his bloodlust because he's almost getting the better of Carly, but she pushes one of those GRC trucks over a ledge and he has to make a very quick split decision choice whether to go and try to avenge his friend's death or to save those people. And he chooses to drop the shield, the little fucking chueco piece of shit shield that he made, and he chose to save the people. And it was great, man. It wasn't full redemption obviously, but I think it was good. I think the crazy super soldier fire in the veins wore off. He's a little bit more level-headed now and he did a really good job there. And I'm actually really glad that he did that, because this character could have been so bland and so boring if they just made him like a bad guy, but he's complex. And I think this show does a really good job of making these villains not one-dimensional. And so Sam catches up with Carly and he has this kind of philosophical battle with her because she's, going off the deep end and he refuses to fight her. And this leads Carly to pick up a gun and attempt to shoot Sam and kill him, which, now that I think about it, if that suit's vibranium weave, that shit's gonna bounce right off of him. So Sharon could have just let her fucking shoot him and he would have been swagged out and that fucking bullet would have fucking bounced off of him. So that would have been cool. Again, I don't know. I hope that suit is vibranium weave. Like, why would you not make it vibranium weave? I wonder if Shuri designed that suit. It had to be Shuri, right? She's doing good. She's doing good work. Sharon Carter is also there and she shoots Carly before she can shoot Sam. And that's how Carly Morgenthau dies. And she kind of apologizes at her last breaths, which I was like, oh, for reals, bitch? You fucking did all this shit just to say you're sorry? At least die for the cause, or like with the cause. Like, damn. 11th hour? I get it, but it's like, damn. Like, you did all this shit basically for nothing. And we get one of these shots. I don't know what it's based off of, but whenever I see one of these shots, like with the person in the arms, it always makes me think of Arkham City. So I really love that. And at the end of this whole altercation or situation, Sam gives one of the most amazing speeches like ever. This is something that we could all use, like realistically, especially for the times that we're in. I'm glad that this speech was in this show, and he gives it in front of the council, I think in front of the whole world. I think it's being televised, and it's about how these labels that we give to people distract us from seeing the why they're doing what they're doing, which is a very important thing that I feel a lot of people fail to acknowledge in like all different aspects and levels in society. How Carly was doing things was terrible. You should not kill innocent people. That was horrible of her to do, even if her intentions might have been good. But you have to try and get to the why she was even doing this in the first place, so you can better understand and make sure something like this doesn't happen again. I think I said this in another video, is that if you can understand why somebody is doing what they're doing, even if you don't ultimately come to an agreement, that's a dub for you and that's a dub for me, because now not only do you know where I'm coming from, maybe I know where you're coming from, we both know that. A broken clock is right at least twice a day. Okay, so even though Carly was doing all this crazy shit, she was understandable, she was just not acceptable. Kind of like Walker, except Walker Walker had a little bit of that redemption in him, and he actually didn't let it fully consume him. Carly did. Carly died killing somebody that was actually trying to empathize with her, trying to hear her out. So she let her cause completely consume her, which led to her ultimate downfall. And Sam is continuously spitting, and he says this line: "The only power I have is that I believe we can do better," which is so damn powerful and good. Like, I personally feel no matter how good or bad things are, or we believe them to be, things can always be better. We can always try to do better. It's just a question of the work we're willing to put in and the effort we're willing to give. And that's something that Sam is talking about. You know, we can't expect these people to listen if we're not trying to meet them halfway. Using common struggles to unite people and not divide people, which is exactly what Captain America should be. We should be able to unite under something like a common value, a common struggle, a common belief, you know, something like that. We need more unity and a lot less division, which I thought was just super beautiful, especially for a lot of people who are minorities in America. Because if you're a little bit generations removed from the people that like came to this country, if your parents were migrants or your grandparents, whatever, a lot of people who are minorities, like, they haven't been treated that well, especially back in the day. And so you hear stories and stuff, and you think, especially back then, like some people, like some of our grandparents were like service members, just like Isaiah Bradley, and they got treated like shit. And so you kind of wonder, like, why would anybody even enlist? Why would anybody even care about this country being from that time, being treated the way that they were? And then also now, why would they even feel any, I guess, love for this country or whatever? And Sam gives such a compelling reason as to why to keep on fighting, because if you don't keep on fighting, everything that those people before us suffered for would be for nothing. We have a stake in this country. We would be doing a disservice to the people that came before us if we just gave up. So I really like that. I think that resonates with a lot of people. I can't believe this show is as good as it is. And even after everything, even after that flag smasher who wet his drip, you see that suit, dog, and you're gonna run into him and have him get it wet? Like, come on, dog. And I actually really love that scene when that does happen, because like, oh yeah, this shit is waterproof, dog. You thought you were gonna get me? No, you're not. I'm still on your ass. And Sam Wilson is just there, and Sam Wilson is there to be of service, and he's happy to help, which is what Captain America should be. And after this whole series, like, I was hesitant at first, and I've talked about this before in the previous Falcon and the Winter Soldier video that I made, but I'm not a big fan of like mantles being passed. I get it with Captain America, because I do honestly think that symbols are needed, especially one like Captain America, for a country, for especially times where people are divided. And I think that also parallels to when Steve Rogers came back in Avengers. He was like, oh, do you think the stars and stripes are old fashioned? You know, Coulson told him, like, I think that's what people could use. And I think that echoes now, especially in these times, because of just how fucked up things are, or at least how we perceive them to be. And the news definitely tells us. At first I was like, I didn't really care, because I'd always know Sam Wilson as the Falcon. Like, now I know him as Cap because he did such a great job. But you know, whenever I think of Captain America, I'm always gonna think of Steve Rogers first, because he was the Captain America. Like, whenever I think of Wolverine, I'm gonna think of Logan, not X-23. Like, even right now in Marvel Comics, X-23 is Wolverine in the X-Men comics, but Wolverine also has his own solo title where he's Wolverine. So it's just like, who's really Wolverine? At least MCU Sam Wilson, perfect for the role. And I mean, Steve's an old man. He's on the moon, apparently. Sam Wilson's Cap. That's just what it is. And so we get to the finale of this series and the finale of this episode. We see John Walker actually get his legit US agent suit and be like installed as an official US agent, the US agent by Madam Hydra. Interested to see where he's gonna go forward with that. If he's gonna be a Dark Avenger, if he's gonna be in the Thunderbolts, but I think he has a bright future in the MCU. I don't know if he'll end up in Cap 4, but I'm down to see him and see where the hell he goes from here. And the end of the show is just so powerful as well. Like, this whole last episode was like just so many levels of powerful, from the shots, the action, from the speech, and now this, Bucky actually confronts Mr. Nakajima. He goes to him and lets him know that he was the one that killed his son, and he grants Mr. Nakajima that closure, which isn't gonna really help Bucky feel better, but he takes some advice. You know, it's a hard thing to do. To make yourself feel better, you have to put in the work, and you have to make them feel better, the people that he's wronged. He gives him that closure, which is not an easy thing to do. Sometimes, guys, if you don't already know, in life you're gonna have to do things that is not easy. It's a very good moment, and I think it's really speaks to like Bucky's progression throughout the series. Like, he wasn't able to do this at first, and now he is. I really like that for Bucky. And at the end, Sam revisits Isaiah Bradley again. He kind of gets his like an acceptance, like, okay, you're Cap, okay, that's cool with me. And he also takes Isaiah Bradley to the Cap Museum, where he has made it possible that Isaiah Bradley now has a memorial there, his own statue, and a whole description of his story. And he tells him, like, just so nobody will ever forget what you did for this country. And it's a beautiful moment. Carl Lumbly is such a good actor. He really like sells this scene. Like, it's just so deep, so good. Like, the emotion in this scene alone is just, I don't understand how the fuck Rotten Tomatoes could have scored this episode lower than all of the rest. Like, I don't understand that. And we get a great send-off at the end when Bucky, you know, he's invited to the cookout, and basically the whole ending is just good vibes and good music and an amazing send-off for this show. And yeah, that's basically the whole story of the whole series, which I really enjoyed. Now for the things I disliked, which wasn't really a lot of stuff. Obviously, I thought that Carly Morgenthau, like, her whole plan was really half-baked. Like, there wasn't really any rhyme or reason to her ultimate goal of killing the GRC. I feel like she didn't really think of things, but obviously she's a teenager. Maybe that serum, you know, fucked with her head as well. But I really didn't like the Flag Smashers or Carly Morgenthau that much. And I think Carly Morgenthau, that name is so fucking hilarious. Like, it reminds me of the name like Regina George. Like, I don't know why. It's just kind of like a ridiculous but like very like eccentric name, I guess. I don't even know. The other thing I didn't like was the whole like Sharon Carter being the power broker thing. I didn't even like Sharon Carter. She felt kind of bland. She was gonna be the power broker. Like, it seems so out of character for her. I get why, because of everything that she's been through, but I thought it was kind of lame, if I'm being honest. But they're obviously setting her up to be a bigger deal in the future of the MCU, at least for the ground level heroes. A lot of people are saying that she's gonna be in Armor Wars, which, you know, I'm down for. Let's get the world building, especially in these Disney Plus shows going. And now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's go into the things that I liked, which, you know, I really liked that Sam rejected the shield at first, because it kind of echoes a little bit of like, oh, if you were able to get superpowers, would you take them? And the one person that says no and actually thinks about like the responsibility, the other stuff that comes along with it, it kind of echoes that or parallels it in some type of way, except for Sam, it's a little bit something deeper. But I really like how he came to a realization throughout the series and ultimately accepted the mantle. You know, there's some change there. There's character development. I really like that for Sam. I like that Sam was vocal, and the show really vocalized the issues that Sam Wilson would have in the MCU with everything. In the Sam Wilson Captain America run, he was vocal about all his issues. Like, Steve was more neutral, which I appreciate too, but I also respect that Sam was like, okay, look, this is how I feel. I'm gonna let you know how I feel. I don't want you to not know where I'm coming from. So I really enjoyed that from Sam, and I think that differentiates him from Steve Rogers. Sam's cap suit, that's such a beautiful suit. That cowl or whatever, that's exactly how you do Jean Grey, Cyclops, and Gambit in the MCU. We need those exact same things for them in the MCU, no exceptions. I like how the show displayed all points of view. We're all looking at this image, all only able to see a piece of it, and they're all different pieces. You would have to go out of your way to look at it from this person's point of view to see, oh, okay, so it's not just that, it's this. So it's deeper, it's more complex. It's not as easy as just where you're looking from. So I really like how the show did that. Sam's speech, obviously amazing. Going along with like the whole point of views thing a little bit, I like how they made Walker complex, because they could have easily just made it like, oh, this is the white guy, he's racist, he doesn't like Sam, whatever. But they didn't do that, and I respect them so much for doing that. They didn't just make him one-dimensional like that. And so I like that he was complex. He fucked up, but he also did good. I really, really like that. We got more time with Zemo, which I actually really like. I think everybody fucking loves Zemo in this show, even though he's a fucking horrible villain and he's done bad things. Also, you understand why he did it. Like, I think a lot of the Captain America series and franchise as a whole is like points of view. You understood why Zemo did this, because the Avengers basically killed his family. So it's like, oh, you took this from me, I'm gonna take something from you, I'm gonna get you back. And so you understand why, as evil as he is, he's doing it. And this MCU Zemo is not at all really like he was in the comics, because in the comics, I believe he was like really heavily affiliated with Hydra. In the MCU, like, he's really anti-supremacist, which is, you know, what Hydra's all about. So I really like that they added that to him. He's not just this, you know, Nazi, this default bad guy. He has layers to him. He has reasons for why he does what he does. You can't help but kind of root for Zemo in this show. I gotta be honest. I gotta keep it a buck. He was good. You liked him in this show. The last thing that I just want to talk about that I did like, but it goes into like the whole mantle thing. So Joaquin Torres, or Torres, depending on where you're from, he's being set up to be the new Falcon. Sam gave him the busted ass broken wings, like, oh, you can keep these. They're basically setting up to be the new Falcon like he was in the comics. The only thing that I don't want to happen is for them to mutate him, because in the comics he becomes this weird like hybrid bird thing, and it's like this is our first real like MCU Mexican American American hero. And so don't make him like that. And I don't think they're gonna do that because the wings are like tech based. I want him to be able to look just like a regular human being and just like be fly as fuck. The thing is, like, I'm cool with him becoming the new Falcon, but honestly, if I had it my way, I would want him to be like his own character. Like, is there not another bird that they can just name him after, or just something different? Like, I would just like for him to have his own thing, because, you know, first Mexican American superhero in the MCU is going to be like the backup Falcon, which I don't personally mess with too much. Like a lot of like the Mexican American Marvel superheroes are like hybrid animals, like Reptile, and even Spider-Man 2099. He's an offshoot of a character, and 2099 has like stingers and fangs and red eyes. So I'm just like, can we just get a regular dude that just is badass? Give us some Mexican Blue Marvel, like a fucking Superman, a Mexican Superman. Give us that. That would be dope. But that's pretty much all the things that I can think of right now that I liked. This whole show was really great. A lot of this show I watched like before work at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm up for it. I'm spending my sleep time watching this show before work. Like, that's how you know a show is good. I would have stayed up, and sometimes I had, but you know, your boy's got priorities. He's got to make this money to keep all this stuff going and flowing. I'm going to give this show, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which on Twitter, I had already given it a solid 8 out of 10, but after rewatching it for this video, I don't feel comfortable with the 8 out of 10. And that is why I am going to give this show a solid 8.5 out of 10, because it's just that good. The suits, the emotional moments, the different points of view presented, the amazing speech, like it's all there. It's all you'd want. But that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know what you thought of the video and of this series, all of your thoughts. I will be making a Captain America 4 prediction theory video, as well as other videos on this topic. So stay tuned for that. If you like the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.